Welcome back to Cephas Unscripted. Robin, what is going on? We spoke about something last week, and that we wanted this beautiful storytelling. That's why we lost on purpose against Australia. So we had to win this weekend. But New Zealand knows we don't thrive on being the favorites, so they decided to lose as well to even the score, right? So now we've got this great rugby championship with nearly all the teams on the same amount of points. How you doing, and who is officially the favourites after the first two rounds of the rugby championship?
How's it, Divan? Doing good. Yeah, I feel like all the rugby championship teams have come together, maybe all met up at a hotel or a bar, and they said, look, how can we make this tournament so interesting that it makes the Six Nations look shit? And to be fair, they don't have to do much to make the Six Nations look crap in comparison. But as it stands now, each team won one, lost one, and who knows where it can go from now. In terms of favorites, I think anyone's the favorite at the moment. We haven't really seen, a standout performances from all the teams. I mean, given Argentina what they did to New Zealand, you could say that that was close to as perfect of a game out of the four nations as you can
They've
get.
looked the best
But
of the four.
still,
They have.
in terms of all-round game, that game, they definitely look on form as a team and very cohesive. That is weird in saying we know Argentina are extremely like iffy. One week they will lose to the All Blacks by 20 points. The next week they'll beat them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, the thing is, we can't slander the Six Nations. The Six Nations is outstanding, right? And you know you love it as well, right? The Six Nations have been cooking the last two seasons. This year's Six Nations was great, right? We always banter them and stuff, but you have to give it credit. Like they do a good job in terms of marketing it. Anyway, doesn't matter, right? We'll still banter it. Argentina look fire, right? And it's not even a surprise that they beat New Zealand. We called it from the start, right? We said, listen, they win one, they lose one. And in the end, it's not a fluke that they beat the All Blacks. It's not a fluke at all, right? They've beaten them four times in the past 4 years. They've also lost to them four times in the past 4 years, right? But it's not a new thing. They still beat all of us last season. They beat the British and Irish Lions, right? Who beat Australia, by the way, right? So Argentina are a good team, and they've played the best rugby of. If you take the both games combined, where like they played a good second half against the All Blacks, and then they played a brilliant game against the All Blacks the previous game. But anyway, let's focus on the box, right? Because there's a couple of talking points. Firstly, let's talk about this weekend that just passed. Was it a good performance, or do we just take the victory?
yeah, I wouldn't say it was a good performance, but it was better. Um, Better in a few aspects. I think we definitely brought in a couple things that we were known for in terms of our game, and you could see the difference that it made. We'll get into the players just now and how we felt they performed, but in terms of our overall team performance, I think it was a solid test match performance. We need to also understand, and I think everyone still or now acknowledges that Australia is back in the mix with top five teams in the world. So for us to still come away with that win, it's good, but I don't think we are near at our best and what we are capable of. And that, in hindsight, people could think, 2020 is always, you can always look after a game and have your opinions and stuff like that. But is it just maybe the fact that everyone else is getting better and catching up to the box? Or do you think
I
we
think so.
have slacked a bit?
I think two things can be true at once. I don't want to be too harsh on the box. I think it was a big win for us. We needed that victory after kind of getting demolished in that second half of the first test. I do believe the other teams are getting stronger. You can clearly see it with Australia, right? You're taking the Australia from 2 years ago that was coached under who was it? Was it still Dave Rennie? No, after that, Eddie Jones, right? Compared to them to Joe Schmidt's coaching, right? Could that be up to the coaching? Could that be the system? Whatever it is, right? Australia's getting a lot better. The thing with the box is, right? How many times, let's say in the last 2 seasons, we know the talent that's there. Have we said, well, the Boks weren't really fully at the races. We could have done a lot better, right? I don't think I remember us saying we were fully at the races and we played a flawless game, kind of. Because we looked at those All Blacks performances last season when we beat them twice. Yes, the All Blacks pitched up, but we could have beat them even further, right? So for me, I'm just like get some young guys in there. I feel like the wheels are falling off a bit. I'm not trying to be drastic and saying we're gonna all of a sudden fall off a cliff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I still believe that we are the strongest team in the world. I still believe that we'll win the rugby championship because we're always backing the boys, right? But I seriously think like if you look at the physicality of the team, what we used to be, let's say 2023 World Cup, where everyone was at their peak, we need those younger guys to start coming through now as well, right? Because a World Cup is 2 years away, right? And if you look at some of the wheels falling off already, I don't want to drag them on until 2027 as well. Like that's why I want to get to the point where we speak about the touring side for this New Zealand one. We're clearly missing some ball carriers. I don't know why Chichuka hasn't been called up. I don't know why Ivan Roos hasn't been called up when those are two guys that you can clearly see is missing and lacking in the physicality of it. So I don't really think we've dropped down too much necessarily. I think we've become a bit more predictable, right? And then also the other teams have picked up. So I don't know. That was kind of all over the place, but I'm sure you get what I mean with those statements.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I think youth is very important. Look, we don't want to find ourselves at the next World Cup in the same position we were in 2015, where we had a bunch of, close to retirement players. Uh, so we need to get some youth in, and especially amongst the forwards. I don't know if for some reason when I see players, we don't have to go into names, but you can see them just coming off the field and they look like they have been through it.
Yeah.
They I understand it's test match rugby, but they'll be coming off in the 50th minute and they look tired and drained. And bringing in a couple youthful players that, still have the legs and have the ability to bring that physicality and something new, I think will do the Boks world of great. That doesn't mean that I think we should just change the whole show and,
No, I
you know,
fully agree.
throw
I
a
get
bunch
what
of
you're saying.
players
Yeah.
in there.
Well, I think it's up for discussion, right? Because let me give you a couple of names, right? I love Franco Morse. I've always said he's one of the most underrated guys in the Bok team, right? The same goes for oh my word, name just slipped my mind. Uh, doesn't really matter, right? Like I love them, but it's not working at the moment. Like I think we're missing a couple of players, like youngsters that will probably be in the team, right? If you have to add Cameron Hanekom to this, that's your ball carrier. Yeah, I have to add Elrich Lowe to it as well. Even let's say, for instance, Blure Jager, right? Willie Leroux was the other one that I wanted to mention, right? Because after that game, when I spoke to a couple of people, they were like, "Well, we clearly missed Willie in that game," and yes, I fully agree. Right? I think Willie would have been brilliant in that second game, but then I'm like, well, I don't want to be missing a 38-year-old that I'm not sure is going to be performing until 2027. That's kind of my point. You get what I mean? Love the guy, but I don't want to be missing him. I want to get those younger guys through. I want to get Ethan Hooker through the door. I want to get Ruan Orkia some proper game time because he's obviously the replacement for a Franco Monster. Can't wait for Elrich Lowe and Cameron Hanekom to be back, right? Because obviously they're out with massive injuries. So obviously there is injury proneness not injury proneness, but there is injuries in the team. But it's this weird thing where we have to get some balance, have to get some younger guys through it. Because yes, we want to win this rugby championship, right? But I want to win the next one as well. I want to win the next one as well, and I don't want to get to that point where we're shifting out everyone, and then the young guys, their only chemistry in the Bok team is playing bits and bobs, 5 to 10 minutes somewhere else, right? With players that they've never played with before. Like I like the fact that Ethan Hooker is on this tour. Get him to actually play some games. I don't care if it's the All Blacks. Throw him in the deep end. Say, listen, okay, you're going to play outside centre for us. If you want to play Caden Moody on the wing, who, by the way, is struggling. He went into the best form of his life coming into this one, and he stunk it out now twice in a row, defensively especially, right? But that's just kind of the point where I'm in. This is not panic stations, but it's. I just realized that after these first two games, where I just feel like the wheels are falling off. It's crazy. I don't know. Maybe I am in panic station, but I'm rambling.
Yeah, look, I think, guys, I think Divan is overreacting a little bit when he says wheels are falling off. It's just it's his blatant use of his great English vocab. Um, in terms of wheels falling off, one player that I can say that came into the team this past weekend, I've said it before, can sit in an automatic and make it a manual because he's so clutch. It's Andre Pollard. If anything, he's got a couple spare tires, and he's looking good. And we've look, a couple of weeks ago I said this is Marnie's make or break game. Unfortunately, we ended up losing 22 points to 38, and a lot of the comments and a lot of the opinions of people, whether it be pundits or just general supporters, didn't think that he had his best game. I thought, on the other hand, that first 20 minutes, we haven't shifted the ball like that on attack ever before. I thought that was some of our best attacking rugby that we've seen. And then, obviously, after half time, the wheels started falling off. And I feel a bit bad for Marnie. We've had this discussion before, who is the fly off that we want to take into that Eden Park game. And I think past weekend's game, it has been cemented. We need Iceman in this team
I fully
for
agree.
scoreboard pressure. Doesn't miss a kick, makes his tackles. His ability to also have the ball on a string and make every single kick that he makes a contestable, whether it's a cross kick, up and under cross kick, um, any type of kick that he makes, it's always to apply pressure, and he's very accurate with his boot, whether it's off the tee or out of hand. So I think that is crucial. It's going to be a crucial element when we face up against the All Blacks. If you see what Argentina did well this past weekend against the All Blacks, it was their aerial game. They beat them in the air almost 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And we have some aerial threats. We saw this past weekend. We were convincing against Australia in the aerial game. We didn't win every aerial battle, but we applied the pressure. And I like to see that change. So if we can, keep that blueprint and allow Pollard to put up contestables, and our wings get in the faces of those New Zealand back three, I think we can definitely be on the front foot in terms of momentum. So it's Andre for me for that game.
I fully agree. I think Andre had a good game. Obviously, we've mentioned it before in terms of structures, right? When you play with Moni, you're not going to play the same structure as you play with Andre Pollard, right? Moni unlocks stuff that's crazy, right? But obviously, his adaptability to the game, he struggles a bit more where Andre can just control the game beautifully, right? Especially with his kicking tactics. Going into an Eden Park test, yes, obviously we want to build that scoreboard pressure and everything. And Andre was very good against Australia. I agree. I would also take him as the first choice fly off against New Zealand. Maybe not necessarily against Argentina, where you try and run the ball a bit more. But that's obviously just structure. That's not taking away from Andre or Mani or anything like that, or whoever we pick at 10. I wanted to get back to the point. Wheels falling off, yes, you're correct, right? In terms of that, I may be a bit drastic with that. But when you look at our defensive structure, especially like in the second half, we saw it in the first game. Our guys look dead on their feet. Like they look crazy tired. You look at the pace that Argentina and New Zealand played their backline with. Do you think our boys can keep up with that? Or do you actually think the wheels might be falling off if you think about that one and that young blood needs to come through that can keep up with the pace of the game for longer periods? That's kind of what I was referencing. Not that they're going to sit in 20 minutes and they don't have the physicality or whatever, but you need a couple of guys that can play the long game. That was kind of what I was referencing on it.
Yeah, I see. You know, there could be a number of factors that could play a role in this because we're playing more attacking. We've said this before, it just tires out the players a lot more. Obviously, now the forwards are, they're carrying, they're also playmakers with these out the back passes. They have to get themselves in positions which, and the most tired that players get is working off the ball. So it's when you don't have the ball or you're not receiving it yet, you have to get in position so that your structure is able to be formed. And because we're playing this Tony Brown style, I can see why these forwards would be getting a little bit more tired on their feet. The thing that irritates me the most about how the Boks are defending at the moment is majority of these tries that we've seen the past 2 weeks now against Australia have been opportunist tries, like,
Soft tries, yeah.
kicks through where Kane and Moody just like misses it, or like there's a grubber and it's loose and everyone's kicking it around and then they're under the poles, intercept tries, handling error tries. So, and I think that comes down to conditioning, because the fitter you are, the more you can think on your feet and you don't make those sort of errors.
Yeah.
So that could be a factor, and it's hard for us to know because we're not part of the coaching staff and we don't know what's happening at training. But that could definitely be a factor.
Yeah. No, no, you're fully correct. With that. As you said, like, I don't want to knock on the guys and say that they're not fit. It's just something that we've picked up on while watching the games. You couldn't have said it better. Like, it's opportunistic tries. It is soft tries that's being conceded, but it's like mistakes that feels like it's coming from fatigue as well, or a lapse of focus, or like we get a scrum free kick against us. Why are we not tracking back quick enough there? Right? There's a million scrum free kicks in a game. You never really see that, right? And they just pounce on it. The same with Kane and Moody's missed opportunity there. I don't know if that's just tiredness or what happened there, because he's just in a bad touch the past two games. Hopefully that gets better again. I want to ask you, what do you think, like, are our main talking points going into New Zealand? Do we play the expansive brand? Do you think we go back to our stump car rugby? Do you feel our forwards need to carry more? Because I feel like we've lost so much momentum in terms of it feels like our forwards doesn't really carry the ball forward as much as they used to, which gave us so much front foot ball for us to get the backs into play. Um, yeah, what's your thoughts on what is it exactly that you want to see going into New Zealand? Because we've got 2 weeks to prep for it now.
Yeah, so there could be a few things that we currently are doing that I think I want to see. Well, there is a few things that I want to see, and then there's things that we aren't doing that I also want to see. In terms of the things that we do well, that I've seen from the past 2 weeks, aerial battle. We've done good in the air. Like I said before, that Argentina game this past weekend, New Zealand struggled with that. Secondly, I don't think we should go away from our attacking game, but our number one priority, and it's something that I think we fell off a little bit, is dominating with ball in hand in terms of like physical, like dominance. So
If you look at the
running
way that
with
Argentina carried, yes, yes, it's going to
Pablo
be fighting.
Matera, like bumping off New Zealand players like they're nothing. I think he made 18 carries this past weekend. Like, I understand this attacking way of playing is attractive, and it's a good look for us, especially if we can score some good sexy tries. But we need to do the graft first. Argentina didn't just immediately start swinging it wide. They were doing the graft first, making sure they're dominant, and then they would get it wide, and they were successful. So,
Yeah.
in terms of things that we've seen, the high ball, we need to battle as much as we can with that high ball. If Pollard is starting, which I think he will be, he's got our kicking sorted. We don't have to worry too much about that. And then things that we haven't seen, I just want us to be a bit more physical, like we used to be in contact. I like this little offloads from Eben and him trying the skip passes there at the end to Jesse Creel. I like that. It just shows a player is changing his game, even though he's older. Uh, but we need to do the fundamentals of play to our strengths first, and then I think we'll be super successful.
Well, in saying that, because both of us just mentioned the ball carrying physicality and stuff, right? How long is Jasper Wiese still out for? 2 more weeks. I'm not sure. One more week.
Well, I don't know if it went by weeks or games.
Yeah, yeah. It's obviously by games. So by weeks, I mean games. Yes. Let's say it's just one more, right? But we brought that up now. Are you surprised that we went with the same squad instead of adding a couple more ball carriers in there? Especially, I know I just mentioned them as well, but you can use anyone. I'm just using them as an example. Vincent Chuchuka is a great ball carrier. He's feisty, he's young, he's hungry, takes the ball in pretty well. And Evan Roos as well. Are you surprised that we went with the same squad that kind of lacked that into the New Zealand one? Do we just say, okay, we trust them to just pick up the physicality instead of bringing in someone that's going to offer you that as well? Because that's clearly where Argentina got the advantage. Their Lucy's carried the ball like absolute monsters, and that's where they got the advantage. And they did it in the first game as well. That was kind of the turning point in the first half for them as well, because they had the dominant ball carries, and then they swung it out wide, and then they always looked dangerous. Do you think we've missed the play there, or do you just feel like we'll probably have a discussion with the boys to say, listen, pick up the physicality, carry it into them, whatever?
Yeah, you mentioned if I think it's surprising. I think it is surprising, just like you mentioned, Vincent Suzuka in the games that he played, phenomenal. Scored 2 tries, great ball carrier, sort of uh, Peter Steph esque, obviously not on his level as of yet, but in terms of carries and work rate, Rassi said he's evolving into that sort of player. So I would have liked to see him in the mix, but playing against Australia 2 weeks in a row and not having him in the mix at all just doesn't make sense to now bring him on tour. Um, the weird thing is, like, when it comes to Rassi, we've seen it before. The mind games and the way that he can manipulate teams, whether it's releasing squads early in the week or changing them towards the end of the week or going 7-1 split. What if this entire 2 weeks against Australia was just to put New Zealand off for that Eden Park game? And we are going to go into that completely different. We're going to go 7-1. We're going to have Andre Esterhazen on the bench. We're going to start Grant. He can go to wing if anything happened. Like, I just have a feeling that Rassi is not going to go into the New Zealand Eden Park game the same way that we saw now for the past 2 weeks. I think we used Australia as a way to test our attack, and then he's going to bring back the fundamentals.
Well, he's obviously more likely to try something against Australia than he would be to New Zealand. But I can't think that you try something and don't really implement it in the other games as well, because we always knew Australia is not going to be a walkover, especially in that second game. So you wouldn't try anything in that second game where if we lost it, we were kind of out of the race for the championship. So I reckon we probably play the same game as we played in in the second test against Australia. Right. Obviously, I did mention we do have the injuries. As soon as I think Cameron Anakom starts most of the games next season, I think not Ergis Neyman, Alrich Lowe comes back as well, end of the year to play some games for the Boks as well. So we'll have our ball carriers and stuff. The weird thing is our most dominant ball carrier, I could be wrong, but it felt like it was Marco van Staden. Like, I didn't think I'd say Marco van Staden is the most dominant ball carrier and stuff. But yes, I do agree that he'll probably go back to basics. We have to carry that ball in, kind of take a leaf from the Argentinian performances. Because if there's ever opportunity for us to go back to back and to win the rugby championship, get the Eden Park test and all those type of things, it is this year. Right? We trust in this team. This team is quality enough. I know it was harsh on the wheels falling off at the start and stuff, but I didn't say revamp the entire team. I just kind of want to get some youngsters through the door, to also get some game time, get used to the system, so that when next year comes and there's more injuries and stuff to the older guys, because obviously if you're older, you're a bit more injury prone, and it's not a surprise necessarily, for the guy that's slotting in. But yeah, I reckon back to basics, physical. Here and there, a couple of backline moves, because we'll always try and get Cheslin into the game. Cheslin and Kirtley. Well, Kirtley's not there, obviously. Or Kanan Moody. Andre Pollard putting up some bombs and stuff. Back to basics probably just feels like the right way to go, especially in New Zealand. Um, but I can't see us doing a 7-1. Not at all.
Who knows? I mean, it's tough to say because we've previously said that the bomb squad isn't, having that much of an impact from what we saw the first year it was implemented. So it's tough to say, but it will be interesting to see what sort of team Rassi drops, whether he goes like a forward dominant on the bench, and what type of style. But yeah, I think he can definitely have a look at that Argentina performance from the past week and sort of pick out a few key areas in which we should be working these next 2 weeks, before
Yeah.
we take them on.
Remember, even if when the prime bomb squad didn't necessarily dominate New Zealand, right? They won't dominate us necessarily, but their front row or their forwards are extremely fit and they're big guys, right? Like they'll probably have back the likes of Tamati Williams, what's it, Tyra Lomax, Ethan de Groot, Samasoni Tokyo is brilliant. Cody Taylor can play 80 minutes without breaking a sweat. Like they big and fit guys. They'll probably be able to stand us with that. So I can't think that the bomb squad is going to make an extreme amount of difference in that game because it hasn't before, right? Because of how good New Zealand is when it comes to their physicality. Like they've switched up their game from this expansive, elusive game to a bit more of a physical game. That's why their pundits are going off on them for playing boring rugby, even though it's kind of effective. That's kind of what they have to do because they don't have Dan Carter, Manon, and Conrad Smith, those guys anymore, right? So I'm thinking go back to our basics, which is the normal 6-2 split with a scrum off on the bench, the likes of a Sasha on the field. If you need some extra magic or something like that, I wouldn't even be surprised if we start with Sasha and then put Handra on the bench, where see if Sasha can kind of get the game going and stuff. And then when the pressure comes, then you bring on Handra, let's say for the last 25 to 30 minutes to put some more scoreboard pressure on the game instead of trying to get scoreboard pressure and then bring on a youngster with magic to pull something out of his ass. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Does
We'll
that
have to wait and see, Divan. Lots of options, but I think next week we will cover both teams once we get the team release. Maybe do a combined 15 with a bench, um, and get you guys involved in the comments on what you guys think that team should look like. And then we'll also give our predictions next week. Once we've seen the teams and heard a couple of the pundits, listened to Matt Williams a bit, and yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, thanks for watching. Please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. We do appreciate you guys. Bit more of a ramble episode, but whatever, right? Every now and again you have one of those. But we'll see you next time. Ciao.